1 here in just a minute. Now, as many of you are aware, Cindy and I, as you've already been told, we're going off to the state of Wyoming. And everybody kind of looks around and they're like, Wyoming, what the heck is in Wyoming? And it's just a bunch of like, land, and it's just there's no people there. But there are 450,000 people there, 96% of whom do not attend church anywhere, and they claim no faith is their own. In other words, 96% of that state are professing themselves to be lost apart from Christ. And in addition to that, in many of those towns, there are no churches. And by no churches, I mean none, period. Okay, when I say no church, I don't mean there's no Baptist church. I mean there's no Methodist church, there's no Presbyterian church, there's no Catholic church, there is no church. In fact, the specific town that we're going to is called Kemmerer. Now, just a couple of facts about that. First of all, that is the home of the JCPenney Mother store, which now looks worked up against a bunch of other JCPenney stores, but it's where they started out. The major industry there is the oil field, and then coal and natural gas resources, that kind of thing, out in that area. And the town itself is 56% Mormon. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with the Mormons, they are a cult group. They are a group that claims to be Christian, but they add to and take away from the gospel so that it's no longer the true gospel. That's what you got in Kemmerer. Now, in addition to that, most of those people are probably also looking at the records called nominal Mormons. Next to them, Catholics, most again are probably nominal Catholics. That is, they go to church on Christmas and Easter, and other than that, they don't get a whole lot of exposure to the gospel. And so what we are looking to do is we're looking to take the God's gospel to Kemmerer, Wyoming, and we're going to plant a church called Beacon of Hope. Now, the vision that we have as Beacon of Hope will be to be a close-knit fellowship of disciple-making believers with a passion for reaching Kemmerer, Wyoming, the United States, and the world with the one and only true light of Jesus Christ. That's our mission. That's who we are. That's what we want to do. Now, granted, there are but two of us that I know of right now, my wife and myself. We're going to have to reach out primarily through relational means, because a lot of traditional methods don't work there. A lot of the people who are there, they don't really, it's not that they don't like church. They just look at it like they do anything else. So if you walk in and you say, like, okay, we're Women's Baptist Church. They look at it as the Baptist Club. It's like the Rotary Club or the Elks Club or whatever. They have no idea who we really are. And that's why you win the relational. You go out and you touch lives one at a time in the name of Jesus Christ through service, and you bring them into God's kingdom. Now, that being said, and you knowing why we're going out there, this vision that God has given us for Beacon of Hope is really God's vision for the church across the world. If you don't believe me, there are 5 great passages that talk about this. It's Matthew 28, 19, and 20. Most of you can probably quote that one to me. There's Mark 16, 15, Luke 24, 48, John 20, 21, and Acts 1, 8. We are all commanded to be God's light in a dark world. We are all commanded to go out and shine the light of Christ. In fact, that's exactly what this passage that we're coming from this morning, that's what it talks about. In Isaiah chapter 60, beginning in verse 1, the prophet Isaiah writes, "Arise, shine, for the light has come, and the glory of the Lord shines over you. For look, darkness covers the earth, and total darkness the people, but the Lord will shine over you, and His glory will appear over you. Nations will come to your light, and kings to your brightness of your radiance. Raise your eyes and look around. They all gather and come to you. Your sons will come from far away, and your daughters will be carried on the hip. Then you will see Then you will see and be radiant, and your heart will tremble and rejoice, because the riches of the sea will become yours, and the wealth of nations will come to you." God is calling His people, the children of Israel, to be a light. Now, lest we get to the point where we think that this is something that was applied to people over 4,000 years ago, that no longer has anything to do with us, let's remember that Paul talks about it all the time, how we were grafted into the nation of Israel. Okay, whenever you and I became saved, we became part of God's chosen people. So God's not just talking to the old children of Israel. This is His word to us as well, if we need to pay attention this morning. Now, how do we explain this in such a way it's not apply to being a light to the world? Well, let's think of the analogy of a light fixture for just a minute. Okay? I mean, we've got them situated kind of up here. You can kind of take one of these bad boys, for example, and you notice that a light fixture has to have 3 things in order to work properly. It has to have a power source. to have a light bulb, and it has to have a good globe or chandelier hanging from it in order for the light to be at its best and to be properly